Welcome to the Hot Rod Hangout Podcast. I'm Matt, and tonight we got a special guest, Mr. Quynh, the shop teacher for Hernando High School. What's going on, man?
Hey, I'm glad to be here.
So what originally kind of got you into cars in general?
Cars, it's out blood. It started off young. Parents actually told me no when I told them I wanted to get into cars. It was like, absolutely not. Didn't let me go to shop class in high school, way back when, of course. But after I graduated, I just got into cars and it just kept getting into it. One of the coolest things I had is as a senior, I had me a 70 Charger. So I was driving that around as a senior and, of course, having to tinker with it and such, and it kept going from there.
Very cool. What, we all got them. What's a car that you got rid of or you had an opportunity to buy, but you just couldn't make a deal, couldn't put the money together or whatever? What was the car that got away?
Car that got away. 1987 Buick Grand National. All
That's
stock.
A good one.
When I was young and dumb, I bought an 87 GTA Trans Am instead of buying the Grand National. And looking back, back then, V6 turbo,
Yeah.
it was like, what do I want a V6 when I can get, small block Chevrolet? And looking back on it, I was like, man, that was a dumb move.
Yeah, well, and that's one thing with cars, the ones that weren't popular or you didn't realize, because like four-doors are starting to make a comeback or come around because they're the only thing left.
Yeah.
Or especially G-bodies. There's not a lot of G-bodies that didn't get cut up, turned into circle track cars or drag cars or, destroyed. 70 Chargers. How many 70 Chargers are in the junkyard because somebody wrapped it around a tree?
Yeah, man. Then the crazy thing is, I know where that 70 Charger is. The exact car I have. I know exactly where it is, and if I had enough money, the man would sell it to me. But man, I can't justify that expense right now.
Yeah, and that's one thing we were talking a little bit earlier about. It's hard for somebody to get into this hobby because there's no longer that $250,000. I love talking to older guys, and you're like, oh, I bought a '57 Chevrolet for $25. And I'm like, yeah, you can't buy the hood emblem now for that. It's.
I'm right there with you. I bought that 70 Charger for $1,200.
See,
and it was, and it was in the lady's garage, and she didn't know if it would run or anything, and so I gave her $1,200. I brought a battery, hooked the battery up, and it started up. And I drove it out of her garage.
Yeah, we used to. We'll talk about the Meekum debacle later, but we used to, growing up, my dad was, that's how I got into it, and we'd watch Meekum Now, and my mom's like, didn't you have that car? Didn't we have that truck? And it's like, yeah, it wasn't worth that back then. And he had gotten, we both right around high school, we had built a little 82 S10 drag truck, a little 690 truck, 8th mile truck, and I had figured out what girls were and sports, and kind of didn't pay enough attention to the truck, so it had to go, and it left, and then I cried and tried to buy it back later, and the guy realized who I was, and the price went up because he knew the sentimental value and wasn't worth what he overpriced it. But so we got into bikes and Harleys and stuff like that, and then me and Ashley met and kind of got back into the car stuff. But my mom and dad not recently, but they got back into hot rods too, because my dad retired. My mom just, congratulations on your retirement, Mama. They had a 34 Ford pickup truck, and at the time I was building a 32 pickup, and watching them climb in and out of it, I was like, I am not built like a guy from the 30s. And it was just, and there's nothing you could do. I mean, the cab is as big as the cab is. There's nothing, and I helped them change the seat. We built a seat for it, made it a little bit better, and, just stuff like that. But even he was talking, whenever he was, we had bought the 54 and he was looking for something, and, he's like, oh, this is my budget. And I kept saying, like, yeah, that's those cars that used to trade were, the $10,000 to $15,000 hot rods. Well, those cars are no longer in that price range. I mean, it used to, even back in all cars, not just classic cars, but like in high school, I remember if you had you could go pick up a Jeep, a CJ or a YJ early Jeep for cheap and go beat it in the woods, and nobody even batted an eye. And now you look at Jeep prices and it's like, I can't afford. A rusted tub is worth more than they were selling whole trucks for back then. And it's just crazy to see. But then every once in a while, the car market decides to flip itself on its head, and there's good deals out there. You just got to be patient. And he ended up, they got rid of the 34, and he just picked up a 65 Fairlane. Car is absolutely mint.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's less than 20,000 miles, original miles.
Whoa, that's awesome. Man.
Guy bought it, passed away. Mom never drove, the wife never drove it. The kids would come, fire it up, drive it out of the garage, back it back in, leave it, come every month or so, whatever. And then a guy took it and basically, there wasn't much restoration, I'm assuming, because it was in a garage, but he puffed it back up to, pristine, and that car is ridiculously clean. And, they're getting out and enjoying it, and that's kind of what this was. That's what I enjoy. I enjoy more on the cruising side than the sit in a parking lot and tell me my car's pretty and give me a $5 plastic trophy. That's just not. I like getting out and driving them because that's how I enjoy it. I know that you have gotten out of your car obsession has slowed down, but you picked up that little Kai truck, which is cool. Mm-hmm. So what now? What's the plan for the Kai truck?
It's just to make it a cool little cruiser, and I've driven it. I've driven up to school, let the kids see it, and it's not fast. It's not powerful. I'm not going to spin tires and do donuts, but you know what? You smile when you drive it.
Oh yeah.
It makes you slow down a little bit. Because in the other cars, I'm driving 70, 80. It's always rush, hurry.
Oh yeah.
And that little truck, if you're doing 60, it seems like you're just flying. And
well, yeah, because you're right there.
You're in the front, but it makes you slow down a little bit and just relax.
Yeah.
Enjoy life a little bit more. I'm right there with you with the cruise because we've got, my wife and I, we've got a Gladiator also. We're Jeep people.
Okay. And so you understand the whole Jeep thing.
I understand how people can call us weird. I admit it. I'm weird. It's okay. But
it's a Jeep thing. You understand?
It's a Jeep thing. It's cool to go out there and just slow down, forget about everything else in the world, and just drive and enjoy yourself. So that's a cool thing with that little truck. I'll dress it up. I'll put wheels and tires on it. Of course, it's not going to be big.
Yeah.
But put little wheels and tires on it. Put some graphics on it. But it's to make it cool. it's gonna be at the car show. At the beginning of next month. So we've got some things planned for it to try to make it look cooler.
Sweet.
For the car show.
So unlimited budget. What car or truck or Jeep? What are you building? Unlimited budget.
Unlimited budget.
I know that's hard in these times to think about an unlimited budget, but
I have always loved the NSX. The Acura NSX. I've always loved the look of it. Not the new one.
Yeah,
the older, the 92,
the wedgie looking one,
the 07. I've always loved them. I'd love to build an NSX. I can remember in Houston, I had my 01 TA, and it wasn't the fastest out there, but it did well for itself. And on the highway, I had this red NSX, had a carbon fiber top, carbon fiber turbo scoop, and that should have told me not to mess with them. But, of course, you had to try anyway. And at 60 miles an hour, he made me feel like I slammed on my brakes. When he launched, I was like, and it was just so awesome to see. So, but yeah, that'll be the build.
So, in the shop, I know you had said that you had kind of switched it up and trying to get the kids to work more together, the whole class doing stuff. What is some of the stuff that you are trying to pass on or teach them? Are they bringing in their own stuff and you're just kind of helping, or are y'all doing like builds or?
Well, we're really not doing builds. It's, some kids want to, do some custom stuff, and I help them with that. But the main thing I'm trying to get the kids to know is, you're really all your basic stuff.
Okay.
I want them to understand how the car works, but I want them to be able to go out there and look at something and figure it out and fix it if needed. I want them to be able to do their own brakes. Understand all the basics, not only to save them money, but if they need a little hustle on the side.
Yep.
Everybody needs brakes done.
Yeah.
And then even more importantly, when they have to go to a shop, to know when someone's trying to pull something over on them.
Yes.
I was in a shop, and I'd love to say that shops would never do that.
Yeah,
but the reality is there will be some shops that try.
Well, and at the end of the day, and that's kind of where, the shop kind of gets a bad rap. And it's the same with the car community. One bad apple will spoil, if somebody has a bad experience, it doesn't matter that you're a different shop. It's all mechanics.
Yes.
And same with car, if a guy in a low comes by and, he's hopping and being ridiculous or whatever on, cruising on the road, well, that puts them off-putting or doing burnouts. The takeover people, like, I wish that they would get their shit together. But, we try when we go places to put a good example of how you should act. I'm not saying that I always abide by the posted speed limit, but, there's a time and a place. I can't remember who said the quote, but it's okay to do stupid stuff safely.
That's an awesome quote.
Because at the end of the day, you're going to do stuff that's questionable. We've all went out and made a little pass on the street. It's not a might not put that seatbelt on every time, or speed limit 70. I was running with traffic. Yeah, there's no traffic around you. Yeah, that's how far behind I'm trying to catch up.
Catching up.
And I hate it, and you're seeing more and more. Actually, I think in the group that I found your flyer in, they were talking about, I think they were losing one of the gas stations that they were all hanging out at. And it's like, well, why? You know, were you not cleaning up after yourselves? Were you blocking gas pumps? I mean, every car guy knows that the best photo you ever take of your car is at a gas pump. They have the best lighting. But if you're sitting there and you're loitering and you're taking up parking spots or gas pumps and the guy can't run his business, well, then you got to go.
Yeah.
Or if you're doing burnouts or anything. I mean, you have to also understand it from the other side, but people get so hung up on, you know, oh, this guy's kicking us out. You know, you're recently moved here or newer to Florida, and there used to be a really, really awesome car show at Chick-fil-A in Spring Hill. And I mean, it was a show, like it was a cruise-in like show. It's gone because the cops didn't care that you revved it up a little bit. They didn't care that you played your music a little loud, as long as you don't do it all night. You know, no one's going to complain if, you know, a guy with a turbo just got his turbo on and he wants to hear it blow off. Nobody's going to complain about that. But the 52nd time you do it, it's annoying.
Yes.
You know, and we also have to think that not everybody likes what we like. You know, obviously, you know, both of my cars out there have cams. I like hearing the wop-wop, you know, and it's hard to get that out of an LS, and the cam that's in that motor will do that. And, you know, but some people like quiet cars, some people like turbos. There's so many different avenues that you can take, and just because you like something doesn't mean that it's the only thing.
Yeah, that's it. Everyone's going to have their own little niche, and I might not like it, but you know what? If you do, it's all right.
Enjoy it the way you want to enjoy it.
You know, like we were talking about squatted trucks out there.
Yeah.
I don't personally like the squatted trucks, but you know what? I don't drive it every day.
No.
You know, if you like it, then by all means.
And I say this, and like I said, you know, our slogan, the younger generation, trying to keep us alive, kind of mid-generation now. But you hear the older generation getting mad at a young guy that cut the muffler off his car. Y'all did it.
Yes.
I mean,
you're absolutely right.
Everything that the kids are doing, y'all did too. Like that's kind of the progression of, you don't have money for exhaust, cut it off.
Yeah.
Louder means it's faster, even though
it's not. But
it slows it down, but it sounds like it's hauling tail.
That's the whole thing. It's the fuel of the speed.
Yep.
You know, and I have told the kids I don't understand why they cut the muffler. You know, but I'm also underneath there cutting the muffler with them.
Right.
You know, because it's you're gonna learn, and you're gonna hate it. You know, if you hate it, then you're gonna come back and you're gonna ask to put another muffler on it. If you like it, then by all means. You know, but it's we have to show the kids, you know, what's okay.
Yeah.
Not necessarily what we think is okay. We have to show the kid what is okay. You know, if they think it's okay, as long as they're not going to hurt somebody, then you know what? It's kind of okay.
Be stupid safely.
You know, that's why I said that is just a fantastic saying, because, you know, I told the kids, you know, I don't want you to go out on weekends, or, you know, I give them the same speech when it goes into summer. You know, I don't want you staying in your house and doing absolutely nothing. I want you to have a good time. I want you to go out there, enjoy life, be crazy, be a kid. Mm-hmm. But you know what? Sometimes think about certain things, because certain things you don't get to come back from.
Yeah.
And I want to see you back here next year. So go out there, have a good time, be crazy. But whatever you do, be safe enough where you can show up next year and we can talk about it and we can discuss it.
Yeah. And that's, and I love that mentality of getting out and enjoying life, because at the end of the day, you're only here for a finite amount of time. Everyone here, it's great to like, oh, I'm going to live to be 100. My dad has a quote, and I love it. If I'd known I was going to live this long, I'd have took way better care of myself.
Oh, yeah.
You don't bounce as well. And, it's growing up, I had dirt bikes, four-wheelers. He rode rode four-wheelers with me. And you wreck, and it's not as, you don't just bounce up and like, oh, you're good. Or tumble and you're like, oh, okay. That probably wasn't the best idea. Or you break something and now you got to fix it. And, as a kid, you're not really, you're not making $1 million, and you don't want to cause yourself to have to spend money that you don't have or go without. The worst thing right now, I hate it. Neither one of their cars are running. And I'm like, I just want to go cruise. And we're missing a show this weekend. Shout out to Sunshine State Showdown. Not going to make it. Motor's not in the car. No matter how hard I work, it's not going to be ready for Saturday. But I caused it. And the 54 has done absolutely amazing. It has never been on a trailer to come home. It has never broken down anywhere besides right where it's sitting right now. Every single time that car breaks, it breaks right here.
See, but you know what? That's kind of karma, because, I've always felt like if you take care of the car is going to take care of you.
Oh, and we have literally drove all over the state of Florida in that car. All over the state of Florida.
That's what's so cool about a car. It can take you places, and like you said earlier, you can just go cruise and forget about the world for a little bit.
Well, and that was me and Ashley, her first like car event in that car was I actually had it loaded on a trailer to go trade it off the night before my birthday, and he called. He's like, "Hey, my wife made plans I didn't know about. I'm sorry I can't meet you." I'm like, no big deal. Hey, I got out of the plans, but now I can't find the title. I'm like, no big deal. I'm going to unload the car. It's my birthday tomorrow. I'm going to take it to breakfast. We ended up, Market of Marion has a little cruise in. It's all shiny cars. It's a lot of villagers. So the older generation with the shiny cars. And obviously that car is not shiny. And I'm like, we're just cruising, whatever. It was like $5. I'm like, cool, whatever. And we're pulling in, and I got Ashley beside me. We're cruising, enjoying the car. And the guy whips around from taking pictures of these shiny cars and takes a picture of us cruising in. And Ashley goes, he just took a picture of us. She got a big old smile on her face. And I was like, yep, you're hooked. Because that's all that matters.
Solid, yep.
And it wasn't like I need reassurance. But like, it's cool. You just, it's cool. And then we back in, and especially with older cars, because a lot of classic or old car guys and girls are of the older generation, like we backed in between two shiny cars, and I see like this zombie like wave coming towards us, and I'm like, oh my gosh, man, like they're gonna tell me like go park somewhere different, or don't get too close, the rust might jump onto their cars. And I'm going through us all in my head, and the guy's like, is that a 54? And I was like, yes, sir. And he's like, oh, man, I took my wife on the first date in a 54 Chevy. That's and I was awesome. Like, hell yeah. And, and then talk to him, and you're hearing, and then another guy walks up, oh, it doesn't have the 3 on the tree anymore. Oh, you did a floor shifter. Oh, that's cool. And, my grandpa had one, and it was a piece, but he would let us drive it around the farm. And I learned how to drive 3 on the tree, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And it's those stories that kind of makes me like that the car isn't shiny. It still has 74 or 71-year-old paint on it. The bottom of that car is still 54 Chevrolet paint. And the motor is now giving up, but I don't think the motor's given up. The electrical system in that car has given up. But that's also on me because we've owned the car for going on 2.5 years. And there was a zip tie holding the distributor in time when I bought it. It stopped running. I was trying to check it. I reached down. I heard the zip tie pop. I grabbed the distributor and rotated it. I put her in the seat. I turned it. She started it. And I twisted. And it stopped. And I was like, all right, go give me another zip tie. And I put another zip tie back in it, a new one. And I stuck 2 zip ties in the glove box. So if it ever happens again, I can fix it. It's been that way. I never fixed it. Sometimes the most permanent fixes are those Band-Aids. And now it has intermittent spark. I don't know. Maybe the electronic module in the distributor decided it no longer wants to. Maybe, but luckily there's a small block sitting out there that'll fit right in it. And it needs an automatic in it so she can be more comfortable driving it. So that's how I can justify that. But, it's awesome to see people, and I love the kids. Like, you go to a gas station, and anything cool. I mean, old cars, obviously kids have never seen one, so they're like, what is that? Oh, that's old. Yeah. Like, how old is it? 70. Oh my God. Like, that's a big deal. But then you're starting to see, because, the truck market, the 60 C10s went way huge. And that's Ashley's car. That's the truck she wants. She wants a 63 to 66 C10. Those trucks got so outrageously priced that the square bodies kind of took over, and then they started getting high. Now you're OBS, and to think, I was talking to a kid the other day, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I got an old truck," and I was like, "Oh, what is it?" He's like, "It's a '92 K1500," and I was like, "Yeah, I guess that is old now." Gosh, and it's, but I remember, and I'm starting to get that, like, oh, I remember my square body in high school, and and being able to reminisce, and it kind of brings back, and then you see, like I said, you see a kid, hop in it, sit in it. It's not cool. I can't make vroom vroom noises. It will after the small block, but, oh, I don't want to ruin the car. Yeah. You can't. There's literally nothing you can do to that car other than, like, that car. The Cadillac, once it's painted, I might be a little more like, hey, don't put your hands on it. But climb in the interior, sit in it. Because I was that kid, that wanted to do that. And at that time, you had people that were willing to allow you to sit in a car and kind of get that taste. But then other people weren't.
Yeah.
And, and I get it. There's a lot of money in those cars. And they choose to sit in a parking lot and get told that their car is pretty. And they go, I know. And everything's great. But it's your way of enjoying the car hobby. It doesn't matter. I've said it numerous times. Very fortunate to have met some of these builders that build, Riddler cars and grade 8 cars, and, shout out to Brian, Hometown Hot Rodder. They're building that 39 for Grand National Roadster Show 2027. That's awesome. To me, those cars are pretty, but roll in the parking lot, throw some bleach down, let me do a burnout. That's more, if I had the money, maybe I'd own one. I'd probably drive it, though, so I'd probably ruin it. But, and it's not, but again, if you choose to, like, open your garage and go, man, that's that's a beautiful car, and shut the garage and go back in and watch TV. I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'm right
I
there
also
with
don't
you.
watch football, so so a lot of things that people do don't necessarily, we just had this 3-day weekend. All the guys at work, I'm so excited football starts, and I'm like, oh, yeah, who hit a home run with their football bat? I don't know. Like, car stuff. What are you doing over the weekend? Oh, I'm going to try to put a motor in a Cadillac. Or I'm trying to rebuild an air compressor. It's just everybody doesn't have to be the way you are. Some people, my dad's car. If I owned it, I'd want it lowered, or I'd want it on wheels, or I'd want it on that. But honestly speaking, the way that car sits, I dig it.
Yeah.
I don't want it. It's not my style of car, but I can appreciate the crap out of whoever did the car. Because like I said, the paint. It is a. I don't want to say a driver quality, because it's better than driver quality, but it is a very, very nice driver. It's got vintage air.
That's so cool.
And it handshaker 3-speed on the column. Like it's a beautiful, beautiful car. And some people look at our stuff like, oh, when are you going to paint it? Why? Or when are you going to do this to it? Why? I will say, Ashley had posted it for sale, and she got a couple pictures from previous owners. It was on white walls at one time.
Yeah.
If those tires ever get changed, it will have white walls back on it. I wasn't a big fan of white walls until I seen that car on it, and then I bought the Cadillac that's already got them on it, and I'm like, I don't hate them.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned the show. So give us some details on the show.
So October 3rd is our annual, we call it a car show.
Okay.
It's really a meet. It's, and when they came to me a couple years ago and asked me to try to put it together, because they've always done it. And they asked me to try to get our kids involved, from the shop. So I told them I wanted to change it up a little bit. I wanted the show to primarily be about the kids, their cars. And administration was like, run with it. So I had the kids. I told them, bring whatever you got. I don't care what it looks like. If you're working on it, you're tinkering with it, bring it, let's show it, and be a part of the show. And we invited the community. The first year was okay. Last year we had some nice cars come out, but it was still the kids. Like you said earlier, I was that kid that would go up to these, go to the car shows or car meets, and always told, don't touch, don't get in it, don't breathe next to it. The car's worth too much money. And I agree. But I told the kids, like, I don't care what the money is. I don't care what you've put into it. I want you to be proud that you're working on a car. And then I took it a step forward, and I was like, I want you to know that you can be in the middle of a car meet with all these other shiny cars and builders, because you know what? It's okay. And with this one here, I told them that, fortunately, it's, I'm getting a little bit more, publicity with this, with the group and such, the Hernando Car Club, that we may have a lot of really, really nice cars come out there. And I told them it's what I want, what I'd hope for, the builders and all the cars that come out, it reminds them that, you know what, they were where you are. One day, they were younger, looking at cars and wanting these nice cars, and now they might have it. Hopefully they can inspire you to do something so you can have that nice car also. I just want to make sure they know that they can be included in this community, that they're willing to bring their car out, regardless of what it is. And so it's going to be on the 3rd. It is homecoming week for us, and so it culminates with the car show, and then of course the football games directly thereafter it. And And, I want a nice turnout for the kids. I want them to be able to walk around and see cars that they've never seen before. I got a message that one of the people, in the group, they saw the post. It's the theme. Our theme is Back to the Future, and one of the members saw the post and messaged me directly and asked, "Do you have a DeLorean coming?" And I was like, "No." I mean, I didn't tell him I'm 3D printing a mini DeLorean so I can put it back in that K truck. I thought it'd be cool. I can't bring him a real DeLorean, but I can 3D print one, probably about 6 scale, and they can be in the back of that mini truck, and we'll have our own little DeLorean. Well, this gentleman messaged, he was like, "Look, I've got a DeLorean that I just saved. It's not show quality, but I think it'll start and run. And if we can't drive it there, I'll put it on a trailer and I'll trailer it there. We can drive it in and they can see a DeLorean." And I was like, that is absolutely fantastic. So for the kids to see a DeLorean, something they've seen in movies.
Yes.
This is just, it's a movie. This is somewhere else in the world that there's a real one. They're going to see one here at the show. It's just phenomenal to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was getting ready to say if he didn't offer one, I'll put it out into the ether. We'll find one, because we have an awesome community of supporters of this, and I don't know of anyone off the top of my head, but somebody out there does.
Yeah,
and it's awesome that the community is kind of taken and wrapped around it. I know one of my cars, at least one of the cars, will be there. We'll see if the other one gets a V8 swap by then. But I know my mom and dad are coming. We'll be there in something. And we'll post a flyer and we'll start promoting it. That'll be the show logo for this podcast. And we'll try to make it as awesome as we can, because those are the ones that we need to keep plugging forward, because eventually I'm going to be that old guy that needs to, some young buck to come help me, because I still want to do it. I just can't. And we're missing, like I said, and I've said it before, there's a disconnect, and I understand it more, I've gotten to understand it more and more. The older school guys, you kind of have to prove yourself that you're actually wanting to be there, because they have so much knowledge, but they don't want it to fall on deaf ears. So it's awesome to see, no matter what they bring, it's awesome to see kids or young adults, passionate about something. And it's very awesome that they have somebody like yourself that is willing to kind of put it on your shoulders and say, we're going to do this, and it's more focused on y'all. That's very awesome. We need more of that. Are y'all is it just a car meet or more, or are y'all doing trophies of any kind, or?
Well, I've had another, they asked about trophies, and I'm kind of on the fence about it. I'm kind of leaning more toward just a meet. I know we say it's a show,
right?
But I'm kind of leaning more toward the meet, because I just want the community to come together. And the response I've had since this weekend, since I was able to post it on the the club site, it's just been really overwhelming. It's like you said, it's just so many people have wrapped their arms around this and just said that I want to be a part of it to help kids. And that, to me, that's what's awesome.
Yes.
Because it's all about the kids, and then so the advantage is we get to see the kids get excited because we have all these different cars there. And then we're going to also get to see adults excited because we have kids excited to see cars.
Yes.
You know, and I think that excitement, it's contagious. You know, so it's been an awesome few days, you know, and for me, even for me being here and talking to you about it, you know, I told the kids, you know, and I was like, this is outside of my realm. And I was like, I'm going to go out there because I think it's cool, but I would have never thought that I'd be, you know, having a platform like this.
And like I said, you know, I understand where you're at, because last year was our first one for the Hangout, and we call it a show. We do a limited amount of trophies. We do a podcast pick, furthest driven, lady owned, and this year we're doing a club participation. And then we let advertisers and sponsors of the podcast build a trophy and give their pick away, and also car clubs build a trophy to give away their pick. It kind of lessens the amount of people that can be mad at me. You know, lady owned, be mad at Ashley, she picked it. Furthest distance driven, it's cut and dry. Last year we had a guy from, the 53 Chevy was from Oklahoma, and the dragster that they towed here was from Missouri.
Wow, that's awesome.
On a homemade trailer. And Don Garlett signed the dash of that car at Lions Dragway like 6 or 7 years ago.
Oh, that would be so awesome.
So to see Mr. Randy Jackson with the Gasser Garage riding around on Don Garlett's golf cart and them reminiscing of the Slingshot Dragster days and looking at cool cars at my show was awesome.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know till Friday that Don was actually going to be on premise. So I had went up Friday to set the dumpster and the porta potties, and my buddy Chris Bumpus that works for Don, he's Don's mechanic. If Don sees something he wants and he wants to build a car, that's who does it for him. And I was like, hey man, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm getting Don's garage ready. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, he's going to be here tomorrow. And I'm like, what? I didn't even know this. And I'm like, oh, great. Now I hope people show up. But, you know, and our show was to mimic the photo of pulling up at your buddy's house, 12-pack of beer and some pizza, and working on each other's stuff. You know, you need help, I got you. I need help, you got me. And the car community in itself needs to get back to that. And what you're doing with the kids is absolutely awesome. One of our advertisers also does that. And he actually travels, Wrenching for the Future. They do week-long projects with kids.
That's awesome.
And he gets local car builders in the area to donate their time for a week. And at the end of the week, they do an unveil of whatever project. So they built a bomb on like a four-wheel drive Geo Tracker chassis called the Bomb. And they did a burnout on Friday. That was their... and it's actually touring with one of the armed services as a prop for their thing now. So they were building it for them. So that was awesome. And just the reason we got behind him, you know, it's not a paid advertiser. We had him on a podcast, and I'm like, that's awesome. We love it. It's great. Because, like we had talked about earlier, there's so many different avenues that kids can take now. You know, gaming, computers, and it's all stuff that is necessary, but we also need the guys that are willing to get greasy, because eventually somebody's going to need their car worked on, and the old mechanics aren't going to be able to do it. So we need that inspired.
Yeah, in reality, you know, I'm that old mechanic. You know, I don't want to do it anymore. You know, and you know, with all the newer technology and such, I don't want to do it. I don't want to have to deal with it. So the kids are the way to go. And if I can inspire, a kid to just go out there, get in the industry and make a career and make some money out of it, it's all worth it.
It is a double-edged sword, though, because my dad told me this advice and I didn't listen to him. Growing up, I was, he fought and fought. He didn't want me to wrench for a living. And I always like, because, growing up, he was a diesel mechanic, heavy equipment mechanic. And it was always, we're working on stuff. Like, that's what I'm going to do. I just want to work on stuff. And he always told me, he's like, don't do it for a living. You'll hate it doing it for your personal. And I didn't understand that. And I didn't listen. So for any one of your students that listen to this advice. It's coming from somebody that did it the wrong way. I was like, I love wrenching. You do it for a living. You don't want to do it. And it's hilarious because, and I laugh and, me and Ashley will sit and, because car guys were Facebook Marketplace all the time. You read, mechanic owned. That's the last car I want to buy. That oil hasn't been changed since he bought it. Because he's working on other people's crap. He doesn't want to come home. It's the plumber is always the one with the leaks at his house.
Yes.
The electrician's the one that has duct tape over an outlet because that joker's not working. The mechanics, you work all day on something and you don't want to come home because it's not like when I get home from work, I can go out there for an hour or 2 or 3 or all night, and it's escape from reality. I don't, for those little bit of time or cruising the car or going on a road trip or whatever, we've taken the car, that 54 to Jacksonville. It's been to Daytona 3 or 4 times. We drive the dog snot out of that car. And, for that time period, I don't have to think about, work or, I need to do this or I need to do that. It takes you out of what you're stressing. Mm-hmm. I can go out, after we get done with this, like I'm going to go out and do an oil change or fan swap on that and try to do a little bit something to it to make a little bit of progress every night. But for those couple hours that I'm out there, yeah, I'm not going to have the motor in the car tonight, but I'm making little steps, and for those little bit of time, I don't have to think about fortunately my bills are paid, but I don't have to worry about the water bill. I don't have to pay, it's to get away, and doing it for a living will make you not want to do it for yourself. And for me, that took the fun out of it. I enjoyed working on big trucks with my dad. We worked together. He was the daytime shop foreman. I was the nighttime shop foreman. And doing it with him was awesome. But neither one of us had cars at the time. We had dailies because it was, you don't want to come home and fabricate after you've welded on a trailer all night.
Well, yeah.
You don't want to paint nothing if you spent all day painting. You don't want to, and it's little things that you can do to make progress and just make steps. And, you get, we're posting a YouTube video. When you hear this, it'll be last night. And I think I say in the video, I didn't get accomplished what I wanted to get accomplished over the 3-day weekend, but it's okay because it'll be there tomorrow. And, it took me a while to realize that, and even while it's going on, I was bummed. I wanted the motor sitting in the car right now. And, I was hoping to put an intake on this week and get it ready to get wired. I still got a fuel tank and fuel system and, finish the air ride because I'm adding a compressor to the motor and all this stuff, and it's, at the end of the day, you're like, oh, well, parts, waiting on parts. That didn't work out the way you had it in your head. And also doing it with a budget. That car came with headers, with manifolds. It hit the rag joint. So rag joint had to go. Universal joint went in. Oh, it's a 31 spline. They don't make a 31 spline. Okay, well, they do make a 31 spline, but they don't make a single D output. Okay, well, what can I do? Oh, it's a 13/16. They don't sell that. So, at 9 o'clock at night, I'm calling my dad, hey, I'm going to come over and borrow your drill press for the next 3 hours because I'm drilling this, and I got to drill it slow. And, it's like, okay. We get over there, and it's, he's like, this isn't working. I'm like, yeah, I see this. And ended up, local guy in the neighborhood, and I'm like, he's like, I'll call him. I'm like, oh, man, it's like 10:30, dude. Don't call him. Like, he's like, oh, he's late. He's up late. I'm like, okay. Went up there, and I didn't have no money. It was, I need this part drilled. Okay. Well, sharpen the bit, take it apart. All right, we're doing this. Okay, cool. And he didn't do it because it's an IOU or a gotcha or anything. It was just, this is what I'm working on, and he wanted to help. And that's what we need to get back to is, I remember in high school, when I was in high school, the kids that had the cool trucks was because they had friends with cool trucks. You had one guy that was really, really talented with a welder. You had one guy that could make the weld straight after you shaved a door handle or whatever. One guy was really good at this. One guy was that, one guy had a girlfriend that knew how to sew. So that was your interior guy. And you just kind of, everyone had cool stuff because you could all come together. And, there's the greats, George Barris, Gene Winfield, God rest their souls. The days of the guy that takes this piece of metal and turns it into something fabulous and builds the whole car and paints it himself and does everything. There's very few guys out there that are still doing it. And if you need, and a good example of that is watch a TV show. We always joke about the commercial mechanics. I'm really waiting. Every night when I shut the lights off in the shop, I hope the next night I go out there and the motor's sitting in the car. Go to a commercial. Oh, okay, so we're going to do this, this, and this. And then you come back from the commercial break. Okay, so that's done. And you're like,
yeah, it didn't happen.
Wait a second. And that's the part I needed to know. And your commercial mechanic did it while you come back and they're driving the car. You're like, well, a minute ago there was no pistons in that jugger. What happened? And also TV shows, Instagram, social media. It's a double-edged sword because it used to be if you wanted to see what somebody was doing, you had to go to the show. Mini trucks were really big when I was growing up or when I was in high school. S10s, that mini truck, not Kai trucks. But if you wanted to see what Justin Smith or Howard Smith was bringing, you had to go to Slamfest because there was no pictures on the internet to tell you what he was doing. So you seen the truck, it was on 18s last year and it had a V6. Well, he's coming back this year and he's got 20s. At that time, we didn't even know a 20 would fit on an S10 and it would lay on the ground. And he put a V8 between the wheels. And it's like, okay, well, wait a second now. And the truck was absolutely, cover truck, magazine, centerfold and all this. And it rolled into a local body shop right here. It rolled into an enclosed trailer and it lived its life because he had gotten to a point where I have to change something. Everybody's stepping their game up. And there's nothing that I can do without extensive rebuild. But you'd go to Grand National and see what Barris brought. You'd go to the Riddler and see, and now, Grand National still won't let you post pictures after paint. So you don't get to see a paint job. But you've seen what they did to the car. You know what the car is going to look like. Riddler, same thing. And all these prestigious awards, but those builders aren't single builders anymore.
Yeah.
Ken Diggett designs the car. His guys make the car. Chip Foose, awesome guy. He had a shop. It's not, and I get focused, or I get down on myself like, oh, why didn't I get it done? Or why didn't this happen? Or I should be further along. Well,
you're doing it.
I still have an 8 to 5, and I still have to, I don't know. I'm still married. I have to kind of keep that, she supports me ridiculous, but a good for instance of that is last year before our show. We went to 22 shows in 8 weeks promoting our show.
Oh, that's crazy.
And the night before Turkey Rod Run, she told me she didn't want to go. And I'm like, no, this is the only show I need you at. And she was like, it's not fun. Like, this is why I don't want to do it. And I'm like, okay. And we took a step back and I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, this sucks. Like, the whole reason we were doing this is to meet cool people and to go to shows that we've never been to and enjoy the car show. Well, if you turned it into a job,
yeah, it's not as fun no more.
And we went to Turkey and it was like, hey, do you feel like doing this? No. All right, cool. Let's go grab dinner. It wasn't, oh, we got to be here at this time. We got to be, because there's so much hustle and bustle in your life that sometimes slowing down makes you speed up. And it takes a while to realize that. And that's my piece of advice for your students if they do listen to this. What is one piece of advice that you would give somebody that's trying to get into the car culture or car world?
Advice to give someone trying to get in it. Patience. Because like you said, it'll be there tomorrow. Because I was working, wrenching and, running a shop. And you're right, you don't want to do anything once you get off. It's the last thing you want to do. But that's why you do what you want. And you have to understand to have the patience to say, I don't want to do it tonight. And that's okay. Yep. Patience. Because, and I've told the kids, possibilities, and of course I'm telling them the type of money they can make. Are they going to make it right off? Absolutely not. Can they make the money? Absolutely. But you got to have patience. It'll come. Relax, slow down, enjoy life. Yeah. Because before you know it, you're going to be an adult. And you know what? Sometimes adulting is hard.
Yeah, I remember saying I can't wait to be an adult. Now I'm like, I could really use that nap time.
Yeah, but there's always, there's always that fine line. There's always the give and take. And there are times that, you just have to stay in the grind and just work. Mm-hmm. Because things are going to come up and, you got responsibilities and that's what you just got to do.
Yep.
But you got to be able to realize that it's okay to slow down. That's like with that little truck. That's the greatest thing about it is it makes me slow down.
Yep. I'm
doing 60 miles an hour on the highway, and it sounds like the motor's about to blow up because I'm revving $6,000. And I'm only doing 60. But you know what? I'm having a great time doing it. It makes you slow down, and it makes you slow down for a minute and stop, and it's like, it's okay. It's going to take a little bit longer to get home, but you know what? It's a great day out. I'm driving a little truck. So that's what I would try to tell them is just patience, and just work. Believe it's going to work out. Because if you believe it, it'll work out.
Oh, definitely. So before I run through our list of awesome advertisers, is there anybody that you would like to give a shout out to?
I'd like to shout out to all the teachers and all the people in the past. There was one gentleman that was really, really a standout for me. I worked with him at a Firestone location back in Groves, Texas. His name was Russell Bridges. He helped me out a lot when I was just trying to make ends meet. And then all the other teachers that, it's going to sound weird, all the teachers that said I couldn't do anything with myself, because that pushed me even more to try to make something happen. And then the other shout out is to all the kids that I've had that was in my class. When I was in Houston, and the kids here now at Hernando, all the kids, because you know what? They put up with me. The good days and the bad days. When I have a bad day and I'm taking it out on them, you know what? Yep. They're still super respectful, and they don't take it personal. When I'm trying to get them to understand something, and sometimes I get a little bit, I do a little bit extra, and you know what? And these kids, they look at me and they're like, "Mr. Mile, yes, sir." And they take it, and they, and they come back, and they're ready for more. So it's the shout out to, of course, Russell for helping me back in the day. Of course, my wife and such I probably should say that, but then to the kids, because that's what this is all about. It's the kids.
We are looking forward to October 3rd. We may be like most car guys, be slightly fashionably late. But we will be there some way or the other. But make sure you go show Why Not Fab some love. Throttle Addict, use code word Hot Rod. You get saved 15% off. Johnny Jalopy, thanks again for the awesome logo, man. If y'all haven't checked it out, make sure you go check out Facebook and Instagram. Check it out. Low income clothing, low income photo, wrenching for the future, and also a huge shout out to Psycho Fab. We appreciate everybody. And if you don't follow us on Facebook, go follow us, please. All right, guys. Till next time, get out and drive your shit. Later.